Yeah.
Ready. Hey everyone, welcome again to our A-Team Amazon weekly trainings. And tonight's going to be great because we have our good friend Zac here. So Zac, if you guys don't know him, we're part of the same YouTube, personal branding mentorship. We paid like a lot of money to be in there. And Zac's in the credit, finance, and travel hacking business development space. So I do really value his opinion about money and finance and Amazon. And he's also very familiar with e-commerce, which I like because he understands what we do, right? He's not giving advice just based on like generic stuff. He's going to give advice based on what we
All
do
right, bro.
exactly. Oh, and he's also going to share how to travel for free from buying inventory during the holiday season. Because as you guys know, we're going to be buying a lot in the holiday season, so might as well get some travel points or some hacks, right, with it. So with that being said, here's Zac Repinsky. Thanks, bro, for being
Thank
here
you, Lewis.
today. Was that good?
Appreciate that. Yeah, dude. Yes, sir. If you can, give me presenter rights.
Oh,
I'll just lock in on that.
oh, you mean sure? Okay, there you go.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, awesome. Cool. Yeah, guys. So, like Lewis said, I am very familiar with, I don't just do funding, I don't just do travel hacking. I'll talk a little bit about my story, but I'm very familiar with how you can utilize business credit, personal credit, and of course, travel for luxury and free. And one of the best things about ecom, of course, is the fact that you guys are already spending money and it's recycled. And the best way that you can continue to make more money is be able to leverage the credit in the financial space to, purchase more product. I've done Amazon myself, so I'm familiar with the model that you guys are utilizing. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to touch on a little bit of everything, kind of give you the grand scheme of what I think you should utilize and things that you should just be aware of in the first place. So just a little bit about me in general. I got into credit because I traveled abroad and I needed a no foreign transaction fee card when I was over there. That's what I somehow got 80,000 points, dove into the rabbit hole of travel hacking. So I actually started on the travel hacking side. That brought me into business credit and business funding. And that's where I kind of dove into the online business space. So what I usually do on a day to day, I'm on the sales and kind of operations side of things. So a lot of individuals that sell offers or do ecom specifically or do info online, I've sold for them or I've helped them kind of scale. So I've seen the back end. I understand a lot of these different business models as well. And one of the best things that you can do to utilize not only with coaching and mentorship to learn these things is utilize credit, but also scaling kind of the ecom brands. So a lot of the online businesses you've probably seen, I understand them. So I come from that business development side and I love travel. So credit is a great way to be able to make travel a little bit cheaper. And ecom is a great vehicle to be able to do it. So with that though, I always want to talk about how important in general, if you're going to get capital and funding when it comes to business credit, you should focus on your personal credit. I think Jackie already went over some business credit stuff, so this might be a little of the same stuff, but I always mention it because it's hugely important and most people don't understand it. So when it comes down to it, when you get business credit, which is going to help you with business credit, business line of credit, it's going to help you actually scale your Amazon business, purchase more product. I'll talk about that. You really want to focus on building a strong personal foundation. What we were talking about before the call, you don't necessarily have to utilize all your personal credit as you shouldn't. Like you should still have low utilization, but I don't want people to get in a position where they have high utilization, which is you guys are unaware of what utilization is. If you only have $10,000 on the personal side and you use $5,000 of it every month, you have 50% utilization. Your score is going to end up tanking. And what a lot of people do is they're afraid of credit, so they don't apply to more credit, and that ends up hurting them. So it's going to be harder for you to get business funding. It's going to be harder for you to get extra capital for your business if you don't have larger amounts of limits. So one of the most important things with credit for you to get the capital that you might need in the future is to get larger comparable credit limits on the personal side. So this is credit limits that are over 10,000. What I would say is if you can have a total amount of credit limits over 50,000 is great. 50, 100, 150,000, because what happens is even when you apply to business credit, they're going to look at your personal credit and they're going to say, hey, this person responsibly can handle 60, $70,000 on the personal side. They have low utilization, under 10%. They make all their payments and they're going to be more willing to give you higher limits on the business side. Does that make sense, guys? If they see higher limits on the personal side, they're going to want to give you higher limits on the business side because you've shown them trust and responsibility. So that is important. You don't have to, if you have $80,000 of credit, you don't have to utilize all of that. So don't be afraid of that. I always say, please set up autopay once you get a new card. Missed payments suck, and sometimes we forget about things. When you get a new card, when these things come up, set up autopay just so you don't get in a situation of a missed payment. So those are all the core pieces of our credit score. Really, though, focus on the payment history, the utilization. When it comes to business credit, length of credit history can be good too. So if you've applied to a lot of new cards, one of the best things that you can do is add yourself as an authorized user on a parent, a friend, an uncle that has really good credit or has a credit card that's 10, 15 years old. That'll improve your credit age if you're applying a new credit and you're trying to build up your credit limits. So I always mention this because it's really important and it makes a massive difference when you need capital. It's the difference between getting 2K to 5K on a business credit card and 20 to 40K. Like it's a massive difference. So make sure you build up the foundation of your personal credit so that you can get the capital you need on the ecom side to actually scale. With that, right now, I know we were talking about a little bit before. I always talk about this as well because the banks, they take your money. You guys don't know, the banks actually, when you deposit your money, they really only hold 1% of it. What they are doing is they are going and they're lending it to business owners like ourselves. They're putting it in the markets with their hedge funds, their money makers, and they're using it to make more money. So the government right now is like printing our dollar to infinity. And I'm not sure how long, yes, I believe in the credit system and the point system. It's going to be here for a while. But when you have the opportunity to leverage the US credit system to your advantage, to grow your business, scale your business, and make more money, you're just doing the same exact process that the banks are doing with your money. So that's why I say it's complete leverage to utilize once you understand it a little bit. And that's why we want to focus on building up our personal credit before going crazy on the business side. And then we use that reputation of our personal credit to access business credit and B-locks to be able to scale our ecom business. And that's important right now because in Q4, we want to be able to purchase more products. We want to be able to come out with new products. We want more capital because we're going to make more profit. And this is buying season. And so we want to take advantage of that. And then, of course, with the credit system, I'll talk about the specific systems that you can take advantage of for the massive rewards. With the travel hacking, I'm huge into travel hacking. I love it. I love seeing new places. I love being able to travel. If you don't like traveling, then you might want to mess with the cashbacks because I do understand from Amazon perspective that a lot of people do like utilizing Rakuten and Cashback Monitor for these cashbacks. It helps with the margins initially, but you're going to get a lot more value to points, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So why do we even need additional capital? Typically, one of the biggest bottlenecks with ecom is lack of access to capital. So that's why I talk about the personal credit at the beginning, because that is going to help you out a ton with accessing the right amount of capital. We know that the more money we have to play with, the more profit we can make, not just from purchasing more products, but larger quantities equal better deals and better profit margins with our suppliers or with our manufacturers. We can make more plays and opportunities with newer products. So if you are doing like a brand or planning on doing a brand at some point, or maybe you create a product on Shopify outside of Amazon, right now during buy season, you can take more shots at new products because people are willing to buy. You can double down on what's working. So if you are only purchase $10,000 worth of a specific product on Amazon, additional capital allows you, you already know that product's going to sell out within 30 days. Now you can buy more of that and double down on that and hopefully purchase larger quantities for better profit margins. And then, of course, additional capital on the business side allows us to invest in learning more, coaching, and mentors. Like that's one of the big things that I talk about business credit is have someone teach you just like Lewis is, someone who is already having success with what you want to learn, and have them fast track your learning curve. Um, and so with that, accessing capital, like if you guys don't know who this is, this guy is Brad the Bank. He's one of the guys who has like taken over like the TikTok shop model, getting influencers to do TikTok shop. So if that's something that you're interested in, this could be more of a passion project or trying to create a brand as you scale out your own Amazon FBA or FBM business. It's going to be really helpful if you can access hundreds of thousands of dollars from the bank to be able to take that capital, find people to influence your product, to promote your product, and to build out the branding of the product. So I wanted to touch on a couple things outside of just Amazon because it's extremely important to be able to have multiple banks that you can go get business lines of credit. So think about that too, guys. When you're going into Q4, if you had a couple business lines of credit, even outside of business credit cards, let's say $50,000, and you knew right, buying season Q4, you knew that you could utilize that $50,000 and all those items would be off the shelf in 30, 60 days. That's a huge advantage, especially during this time when things are flowing. And so look at it like this. A lot of people, like I've talked to a lot of younger individuals when it comes to getting into Amazon too. And there's a common misconception that because I have an LLC, because I have a business, the banks are going to end up giving me more money just because it's a business and they see that other people are applying to cards and getting limits. But it's what I talked about in the beginning, which is it's a wrong misconception. Just because you have a business, the banks still pull your personal credit no matter what. So unless you have crazy cash flow in the business and you can show those statements, you can show that more consistently over the last 3, 6 months, they're still always going to personally guarantee on the personal side. And you're going to get way higher limits when you focus on your personal credit. So like I said, when they see $50, $100, $150,000 on the personal side, just because you have a business doesn't give you some extra advantage. Your personal side needs to look good. You don't necessarily have to touch it once you have that built out if you don't want to. Low utilization, few years of credit age. They're going to look at it as how, wow, this person's really responsible with their credit, which makes us believe that they're going to be more responsible on the business side. Cool things about business credit. If you guys don't know, if Jackie didn't touch on this, it doesn't report to personal credit. So you can hold these balances. Yes, you can get 0% cards, 6, 12, 18 months, and they don't show on the personal side. So when you do have these longer standing products that may not sell out in 30 days exactly, and you have to pay off those cards, those 0% cards are really helpful. And if you hold balances, they're not going to affect your ability to get a mortgage or car loan or additional lending on the personal side. Where if you were to do that on the personal side, it's going to affect your personal score, which could affect any additional lending in the future, which is why I talk about utilization hell in the beginning to stay away from. It's great to separate your personal and business, right? Good for tax season. And if you guys don't know, if you're just starting, you have a W-2 job, this is something that is a side hustle that you want to eventually turn into a full-time thing. Because you're spending on the business side, now you have verification that you are spending on the business. So you can actually take that off your taxes, essentially. So you could end up paying less taxes. I'm not a financial professional. But if you do the spending on the business, you can take that off your taxes come tax season. That's why a lot of people will purchase things at the end of the year. That's why a lot of people will invest in mentors and coaches at the end of the year and in Q4 because they're good write-offs. And the business side is just good, right? If you have 0%, it doesn't report to personal, and it separates it. So Why is ecom one of the best vehicles in terms of utilizing credit, utilizing our rewards, an incredible model to take advantage of? Because you guys are cycling and you guys are purchasing every single month. The goal is to purchase more every single month. I know a lot of people like to set goals that they want to spend more each month, make more profit, but that's where we run into that issue of not having the capital if that comes into play. You're doing it consistently. And so when you do this with the banks, you're building really goodwill with them. So you're helping yourself out in the future because it's consistent. You're paying that off and it's cycling back. You're building relationships with this, which is outside of having good personal credit. The relationship building is huge. What you can do is business cards, they have higher sign up bonuses. So you can earn additional points outside of just the personal cards. And when you tag team category spend on business cards, you can earn additional rewards or additional points, which I'll talk about can then be used for, crazy redemptions when you start to understand how to travel hack. You can earn points a lot faster. So because you're doing this cycling of spending, there are opportunities too where you can get status with hotels and or airlines just off of spend. So if you're spending 50 grand a month and you can get a status with an airline by spending 300 grand during the year, you can cycle your spend to be able to get status and get additional benefits off of your travel that way. So that means more upgrades, more luxury, earning more points. Right, so that's why ecom has this incredible flywheel of being able to earn points faster than the majority of people because you're doing the spending, and then tag team that with the right credit cards. Any questions so far from anyone? How many of you guys are like completely brand new to the program as of the last 60, 90 days?
I mean, it's all pretty new.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if they have checked out. I know you've had a few course credit people in here as well. If this is just going over some of the basics, because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm not completely new, but man, I'm right there with you in terms of like the travel hacking and earning the points so that we could travel. Like it's turned into quite a bit of a hobby. So I love just hearing about that. So
Always
good
does.
stuff.
It always does.
That's actually what turned me on to the group was the travel hacking potentials.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll touch even right here. I'll touch on that. I'm not going too deep, but I just have some examples. If you guys have not really travel hacked yet, but you're kind of curious about it, it is a big little rabbit hole. But once you learn how to do it and you start playing around with it, obviously you get better just like you do with Amazon too. So I'm a big points junkie over cashback. Like I said, I understand cashback can be nice initially with Rakuten, Cashback Monitor. I know there's other apps that you guys can use to help with margins, especially if you're manually sourcing and things like that. You're doing it a lot. You're doing quite a few hours of trying to find the right deals. But for me, cashback is you just get the cashback. Like you actually got to spend quite a bit of money to get 5% cash back. That really makes much of a difference. For me, you can get additional value by earning points. And an example of that was when I flew JetBlue Mint Suites. Now, I book a lot of trips for a lot of people, traveling internationally. Haven't done internationally much this year, but I pretty much fly for free because I understand how to travel hack and utilize my points. And I pretty much always get incredible deals. And this is an example. This JetBlue Mint Suite was from San Francisco to Boston. It's about a 6-hour flight. And I would say this is the best transcontinental flight. You're going to fly a lot better product. I mean, this is a pretty good product, but you're going to fly a lot better products and you're going to get a lot better deals internationally on international flights than in the US. And that's mainly because this type of product is a lot different than business class internationally or first class internationally, or business class or first class like domestically. We know first class domestically is just kind of a little bit wider seat, one person next to you. You get some free food and drinks. But this is more like the international experience. Can lay down, can sleep. This cash cost is $2,100. So if you were to utilize your points in the Amex portal, or essentially the Chase portal, they're going to get 1-to-1, which means this flight would have cost me 200,000 points at just a 1-to-1 ratio on the Amex portal because it was $2,100. So look at points initially if you're just trying to learn as a 1-to-1 ratio. Yeah, I did just, yeah, you can, I do that as well, where you connect your Rakuten to earn American Express points. So that's a good one as well. And so this, I got around 4 cents per point, and it cost me 43,000 points. I transferred Chase over to JetBlue. There was a transfer bonus as well. So it really only cost me 35,000 points. So essentially $350. I got to fly a $2,100 flight. I also, on this same trip, ended up flying American Airlines flagship, which was American Airlines International type of cabin, very similar as well, and got just as good of a deal. So that's the option when you can utilize your points the right way. You understand how to use them. I'm getting 4 to 5 times the value versus cashback. You know, I'm spending a lot more money to get $500 back. When it comes, okay, cool. When it comes down to it, though, not every banking partner has, or not every bank has transferable partners. So when you want to utilize the point system, when you want to use points that you can actually transfer to, right? Like over here, I transferred to JetBlue. With the American Airlines flight, I transferred actually to Qatar, but you can also do that with British Airways. These are international type of carriers where you can book partners who are under a partner umbrella. You can book their flights, and they're much cheaper than booking them directly, let's say with American Airlines or directly with British Airways, essentially. So the banks that you kind of want to focus on are going to be Chase Bank, American Express, Capital One, Citi. Bilt has some good partners. Unfortunately, Bilt doesn't have, they have a secret sign-up bonus if you get the Bilt card, which is a personal card. And Wells Fargo just recently added some new partners as well. So these are the ones where if you want to transfer your points to partners, get additional value, these are cards and systems that you want to focus on. Anyone else, let's say US Bank or PNC, they might have a portal just like American Express has, but you can't transfer them out of the system. They will only allow you to book within the system. So a lot of people are like, you know, I have a bunch of Bank of America points. Well, if you have 200,000 Bank of America points, it's worth $2,000. You can only book those flights within their system or within their portal. Does that make sense in terms of the transferable banking partners? Are you guys familiar with them? This is also where you would develop a strategy, right? Where you might use, I'll talk a little about it later. You might use American Express cards, Chase cards. Maybe you fly American Airlines a lot, so you want to use Citi cards. I like American Airlines. So this is an example of all. It's a little overwhelming, but all of the partners that you could possibly transfer to. Marriott has a lot, but I will say, like, it's not really worth it to ever transfer points into hotels versus transferring into airlines. Talk a little bit about the Chase and Hyatt partnership. That's where I think it's really worth it. But if you are earning a ton of points with Marriott, maybe you have a W-2 job where you stay with a lot of Marriotts with your corporate company and you're earning a ton, might be a good option when there is transfer bonuses available. But this is pretty much what the point system looks like. There's a ton of airline partners that you can transfer to and that you can utilize, even though there's main ones that I like to focus on that usually have better deals or have more airlines under the umbrella. Outside of the personal credit piece, I know I'm jumping a little bit back there. Having banking relationships is going to help you a ton outside of just having personal credit. So what I mean by banking relationships, this can be having personal cards with those banks and or having business bank accounts, right? Having some deposits flowing into there. Right now, during the economy, right, interest rates did just get lowered, which is great. Eventually, we'll see that in the lending space where they'll start lending out a little bit more money. doesn't happen right away. But having relationships with banks, that's kind of what they want to see right now. It's like foreplay, essentially. If you want, to do business with them, you should already have something built up, whether that be a personal card relationship and or business bank accounts. That's going to be focus on your personal credit, build a personal credit foundation. And then when you're looking to eventually get lending with the banks for your business and for capital, then you maybe want to open up a business bank account, add in some deposits 3 6 months before, do what you need to do. That's what I would say. It's really important, especially right now, as they've been a little bit tighter in terms of lending. So relationships, personal credit, and then hit some of the banks with the travel partners.
What is
Now, in
your
turn,
preferred ecosystem?
between like all the ones I just talked about, like over here.
Yeah, banking ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean Chase and American Express are great. I really like Chase, and I have it a little bit later, mainly because they have high sign-up bonuses. They give out high credit limits, and they have a ton of partners. I will say this: I would not, in terms of lending, I wouldn't get a business line of credit from Chase. I would get it from other banks. The reason why I say that is because no matter the amount they give you, no one really talks about this or mentions this much, but Chase will put a UCC filing on that business line of credit, which means a UCC filing is pretty much kind of a red flag to other banks. It could affect you getting lending from other banks because it's basically them they're essentially taking over your assets if you were to default on the business line of credit. So you want to avoid having UCC filing. That might be a little tough explanation, but you want to avoid the UCC filing with Chase in their business line of credit unless no, not business credit cards, just the business line of credit, which is different from a business credit card. But I really like Chase, American Express. I also fly American Airlines a lot. So I like having American Airlines miles, and their system for travel hacking is really, really good if you can get AA miles, but they're hard to obtain. Is there one that you prefer, Deontay?
Oh man, my favorite so far is Amex. Me and Amex, we have a very special relationship, and
Yeah.
so I'm really digging them. Chase, so when I first got started, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I kind of blew some of my 524 slots, and so
Mhm.
I'm locked out of Chase for now. But P2 isn't, so I've been working through her primarily.
Nice.
So, still got access there. And also I'm trying to get in with Citi because I really do want to get those AA credit cards, man. Right
Sure.
now I'm trying to get the AA status through the shopping portal, with the FBA business as well as helping alongside that. So I'm in the middle of trying to get, I think it's 67K. You need to spend 67K within a quarter
Hmm.
for their instant status match program. So I'm in the middle of that, but hopefully this will be the only year I have to go this route, and I can just start going through the AA credit cards here next year.
For sure. Yeah. Are you doing the status match that they had from last year, where it's like you hit one, they give you a quarter to hit a certain
Yep,
level, and then if you keep hitting the level, they keep giving you the status.
yep, that's exactly it. And this is my
Yep.
first quarter of it, so you have the one that you attain during this quarter is the highest you'll be locked in at
Yeah.
that potential. So I have to hit the highest tier, which is the 67K, in order to get the Executive Pro the next 3 quarters.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I'm in that, and I didn't know that. I thought it was I could keep spending more each quarter and then keep obtaining more of a status. But you're right. It is that first quarter.
Could you
So
elaborate
those
on that?
terms are a
I
little
don't think I
confusing.
heard of that.
Yeah, so they have a status challenge where essentially they cut the amount that you need to spend in half or like third, and they give you a quarter to hit that. And if you hit any status, whether it's gold, platinum, executive platinum on that first 3 4 months, then you have to spend a certain amount the next 3 or 4 months to be able to keep that status. And then you can keep doing that every single quarter for a year, essentially. And at the end of the year, whatever status you end up having, you get to keep for another year.
Is
And
that
so it's
on?
just a faster way. Status matches are a faster way to get status with airlines and hotels. And it can be through spend or flying. Usually, you know, it's
Is
going to
that
be through
only on the
spend.
business side?
Nope. No, it's not attached to status isn't attached really to business. You can apply to like status matches under a business. But usually it's like corporate jobs. It would just be your personal spend. You could get business credit cards and it still be attached to your American Airlines like number. You know what I mean? Like we have account numbers.
Okay, thanks for that.
Now, here's the
Yeah.
beautiful thing about the City AA business card, right? Is you can have someone like P2 for me, right? She might get in with City and she'll open up that business card with City for AA and
Hmm.
she'll add me as an AU for it. And all of
Yep.
the loyalty points that I earned when I spend on my AU card go to my account. And that is like really unique. It usually always goes,
Hmm.
AU spend always goes to the primary card holder. So, that's kind of a backdoor in if you have like one player who can
Really?
get in, but the other player can't. Yeah, man, it's really great.
So you're an AU and her spend can go to your account,
No,
or
so
is it the
yeah, I'm
opposite?
an AU.
Your spend. Yeah.
My spend will go to my loyalty account. So in terms of loyalty points. Now
Nice.
she'll
Interesting.
still get the miles. And they actually
Hmm.
have a promotion right now where she'll get loyalty points also. So like one person can, if I spend, I'll get loyalty points and she'll get loyalty points while they're running this promotion for the year. But just the normal operating status
Mm.
quo is that uh, I'll get loyalty points when I spend on my AU card, and then she'll still get the miles though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one thing about American Airlines. It is confusing, like loyalty points and then like miles and some of the stuff that you earn on, especially like, I mean, I use AA Advantage shopping as well with the status match, and you just a lot of things you just need to like test out to see if it actually works. Play around with it. But I like
Yeah,
AA.
hey,
I really like their system, and I think they're the best for honestly upgrades. I've had status with all three airlines. Delta has been the worst, for sure. And American Airlines, they have pretty much upgraded me on a large majority of my flights, even with gold or platinum in the first class. So I think they're pretty good.
man, I'm in Atlanta, so and I still find myself somehow chasing Delta status, and I'm like, what for? It's not going to matter. Like this, it's impossible to
Yeah,
get upgrades for Delta with the status if you're in their main hub.
yeah. And the upgrades you get is Comfort Plus, which I mean, to be honest, I think some people rave about Comfort Plus. I don't really think it's really anything special, to be completely honest. Um, and when I had Delta status, I'm from Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is, I mean, I live in Florida, but Minnesota is their second largest hub outside of Atlanta. And when I did that, I still flew Delta to a couple of different cities outside of Atlanta and Minneapolis, and I still was never upgraded for like 3, 4 months when I had the status. So
So do you think
it's,
though
yeah,
that the credit cards are good though?
Deltas
Hmm.
only if they have extended sign up bonuses. Like if you want to get Delta Sky Miles, like 100,000, I think they have 100,000 right now. It can be good. Airline cards can be good to get high credit limits too. Like if you're just starting out and you need to get some higher credit limit cards, like airline cards can be good. But I personally am not a fan, especially the purple, get the name of it, but the highest annual fee one that gives you access to the Delta Sky Club, because you can just get the platinum and you can still get access to the Delta Sky Club. And
The
no matter
purple
what, you still have
reserve.
to be flying Delta, even if you have that card. So if you want the
Here's why
sign-in
I
bonus,
think
it's good.
I think those
And if you
cars,
fly
the
Delta a lot, free bags. Yeah. But
so I think the for the Sky Miles and the bonuses, that's neither here or there. Sky Miles are pretty much, they're hard to get good value out of, though not as hard as people think, right? But the reserve card you were talking about earlier, the purple one, and also
mhm.
the platinum, they have personal versions and business versions of both of those. I think that they are really good cars for one reason and one reason only, and that is the
Canyon.
companion passes that
Yeah.
come with them. Those companion passes more than make up for the annual fee of those cars, man. So that's a
They
really
can.
dope feature.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, it just depends on how much you fly, right? Like a good thing about the travel game, and I always talk about it, is you don't have a lot of people like to follow a certain like model. Like someone else is doing this, so I kind of want to follow the same model. The good thing about the
Mhm.
travel game is play the game to what you like and what you learn. You know, Alaska Airlines is very similar to American Airlines. You can book the same Qatar flights and Japan Airlines flights with Alaska Airlines. Me personally, I'd probably, because I like American Airlines and I understand how to book their system and get these, crazy rewards with their system, I would probably get Alaska cards before I even get Delta cards or United cards because I don't fly Alaska, but I'd rather get a sign up bonus of 70,000 Alaska miles because I know I can book a $9,000 Japan Airlines flight or a $6,000 Qatar
Facts.
Airways flight. You know what I
I
mean? And
100%
that
agree.
experience is more worth it to me than having 100,000 United miles when I fly United maybe once a year, or even Delta when I typically book Delta through partners like Virgin Atlantic or Air France versus Delta Sky Miles. So
Have you are you going to take advantage of that new linkage between Amex to Hawaii and to Alaska?
I did not. I saw a bunch of people talking about it 3 months ago, and Hawaiian Airlines had like 120,000 Hawaiian mile sign up bonus for one of their credit cards, and it's usually like 70. Like it was crazy amount, and people were like, "Well, I'm just going to apply to this card because I think that the merger will happen." And so people were hoping, and then they like, if it doesn't work out, then maybe I'll go to Hawaii in the next few years and have Hawaiian miles. And they ended up transferring that into Alaska, and now they got 120,000 Alaska miles, which is incredible. So I did not take advantage of it, but I saw it. I saw it coming for sure, and it's pretty cool. I like when those mergers happen. Opens up opportunities. I guess we will see though if Alaska ends up increasing award flights in their system over the next few months. I'm curious to see if that happens.
I imagine there's going to be some type of feedback from them right on that because they're going to see this new influx of award redemptions that are happening, and I'm a little concerned that they're going to do a deval, but as they say, you gotta get it while it's
Hmm.
good. So
For sure. I mean, as well though, with the Alaska system, honestly, you can book some really cheap. I booked an AA flight through Alaska for I think it was literally three and a, or no, it was 5,000 Alaska miles. Like there's some good economy flights through Alaska, but even the big ones like Qatar and Japan Airlines and some of the flagship options, usually you do have to book those 9, 12 months out. So it's pretty rare that, availability opens up in the middle of the year, right? So the people that understand that, they'll probably take advantage of it. So we'll see if there's really that much difference of award bookings with those airlines. But I could easily see a devaluation, no doubt.
and
So,
just real quick, and I'll let you continue here. Someone asked, how do we hear about these promotions? I know for me, I mainly, use blogs and sign up for emails from like a frequent miler or 1 mile at a time. Those are a couple of my favorites. So that's the primary way I find out about this stuff.
Thanks.
blogs, people post about it, and you can always search, like literally just search a status match. Like if you have status with a certain hotel or a certain airline, you can type in, is there an American Airlines status match? And there'll be blogs and certain things that you can check out. So I do that all the time just to see.
How often do you do it?
Like, do I check and search?
Right.
Um, I mean, not crazy often. It's just I'd say 70, almost all of my statuses I've gotten and obtained through status matches. So like this is the great thing about ecom though, is because you can spend in a lot of these status matches, you can earn status through spend. So you can utilize your business and your side hustle where you're already spending 5, 10, 15, 50, 100 grand to be able to get status through status matches faster rather than going the long year-long route. So if there's a certain airline or hotel that you're interested in, then you can just search it up and see if that resonates like this time of the year. If you're going to be spending a lot in Q4, might want to see if there's status matches available because they might come out with them 4 months ago. Sometimes they don't close them out. Sometimes they have hard, strict dates. And then sometimes they don't announce it, but they're available on their websites.
Okay, thank you.
For sure. But yeah, some good either way, some good business cards in terms of ecom where you can rack up some more points. And this is how you really take advantage of it if you guys are spending a lot. Is there's a big difference between getting 1 times points and getting 4 times or 2 times. Like that's an additional business class, first class flight a year. That is your international trip that people save up for every 5 years. You can do it every year, every 2 years. This can be a huge, just small little change. Amex Business, right? We all like Amex because Amex you can earn typically pretty well with spending on their cards. So all of your subscriptions and stuff like that, you can get additional points. The technology, gas stations. I mean, you guys are in ecom, but a lot of people are in trucking or some type of logistics, which is really helpful. Advertising. If you guys do Amazon PPC at some point, make sure to see if that logs as advertising. If you're in TikTok Shop or you have a brand where you're doing advertising online, maybe you have a marketing agency outside of this, spending on Facebook ads, Google ads, TikTok ads. That's 4 times points. Tons of people that are marketers. So like it's a great card to have. And if you hit that threshold of 150K, you still want to get 4 times on another 150K, employee cards, get employee cards. So if you hit the 150K and it goes back to 1x, add on some employee cards. You can keep getting 4 times. US purchases, see if it codes with your local, FedEx, DHL, USPS with FBM. You're, paying for shipping. If not, those are good options where you get 4 times on Amex Business. It's not always going to code, but just check your statements. Make sure. And honestly, sometimes I have seen in Amex when I have checked my coded options that you can change. It literally lets you change the category sometimes. Amex Business
Yeah.
Plus, first 50K, 2 times on everything. So instead of getting 1x of 50,000 points, you can get 2x or just 100,000. That's a first class, business class ticket across the pond. Same, pretty much a lot of the business cards are going to be very similar in terms of categories, but banks can also code things differently.
I I would also just add
So,
real quick, like with the Amex charge cards, like the business gold and the business platinum, if you hit your caps, like the 150 cap, you can do the AUs. You can also just open up an entirely new card. So that's another route you can go.
yep,
It doesn't show up on your personal side, and you get up to like 10 charge card slots with Amex. So that's
yeah.
another
Employee
avenue.
cards. You can get up to like 19 employee cards. They used to be able to let you get 100. So people used to literally take out a ton of employee cards. And they used to actually give you small like sign up bonuses for employee cards too. So sometimes you can actually ask if you were to open it up if they'll allow you any sign up bonuses. Like it was like small, like 15K for spending 5K or something. Chase Business Preferred, 3 times on the 150, same kind of categories. But the reason why I say this is essentially what I'll talk about, which is, strategy cycling. The business cash is 5% on 25K spend, but a lot of even the cashback cards on the business side can still convert to points. You can cash them out, but they'll still convert to points in the portal. But what I mean by that is strategy cycling. So good thing about Chase is they have a Hyatt partnership. Hyatt is literally the only hotel chain that I recommend transferring points from your credit cards into. I don't recommend transferring into Hilton or Marriott unless there's a crazy transfer bonus. You can get a lot of additional value and you can find a good option. You're always going to get better value international versus in the US. But what I would say is strategy cycling, right? You hit the 2 times on the Amex Biz Plus, that's 100,000 points. Let's say you hit the 3 times, you don't get all 150K, but 100K at 3 times. That's 400,000 points by just using the right cards versus, a typical card at 1x, you're going to get 150K. That's, like I said, no, I'll talk about that later. But that's essentially, like I said, an international flight. So I look at points like the stock market. I know I talked about it in the beginning, but you can get a lot of additional 3, 5, 10 times the value out of those points. This was a booking that I helped a client book on Singapore Airlines. Ended up costing 87,500 points by booking through Air Canada. 17-hour flight, $6,000 flight. If we're going to compare those points, that's like $875 worth of points. I guess you can add the taxes and fees when we do points value, which I didn't break down on this, but I have in a lot of other presentations before. Essentially, we're getting 5 times points or 5 times value out of our points. So when you can cycle properly, you're earning a lot more points in that year by just doing small little tweaks and changes. And this is what I learned a little bit about working with Eli, the travel guy, and Travel Like Tommy, which is they work with business owners specifically. A lot of business owners have specific spend. They spend a lot. By just putting the right cards in the right places with your spending, you're going to earn 2 to 3 times more points per year, which is going to stack up. It's going to be pretty helpful. And so when I talk about cycling too, maybe you already have a ton of Amex points and you want to start putting your spend on Chase cards because you're going to go on a trip and you want to make sure that you have enough points to stay at a Hyatt because you know that you can transfer those points into Hyatt to then book, a really nice hotel stay. That might be $500 a night instead of you might go there for 4 or 5 nights. Instead of $2,500, you can actually book that hotel for 20,000 points or 80,000 Chase points. So then you might decide over the next couple of months, you're going to put your spend on your Chase cards, start stacking some of those Chase points. You can utilize them for hotel stays. And you can use Amex for your airline stays or your airline flights. So just think of that as just another strategy, a way to utilize and earn more points. Why I like the Chase and Hyatt partnership, like I said, you get a lot of value out of it. If you look at it one-to-one, you get a lot less value. It's pretty complicated when you explain the Hilton and Marriott points partnership in their system, but I'm a pretty simple guy when it comes to the US. So staying in hotels in the US, there's Hyatt houses and Hyatt places. These are what you would call category 1 partnerships in the hotel chain. They have up to category 8. The higher it goes, the more expensive it's going to be in terms of points. But let's say, for example, I'm a big travel hacker. I like to, instead of leaving on a Friday and leaving on a Sunday, the most popular days you could possibly travel on, you need to be a little bit more flexible. So sometimes you may find availability to leave on Monday or Thursday. And this is what's great about Hyatt because I can utilize category 1 hotels that are typically, usually around airports, and I can spend that extra day without spending any extra money. That's why I really like Hyatt because I like the Hyatt houses and I like the Hyatt places. They're nice. They're nicer than the Fairfield Inns of Marriott. They're nicer than the majority of the lower categories with Hilton and Marriott. And you can't really get a deal on any of the lower categories in the US with Hilton and Marriott, but with Hyatt, I know what I'm getting, and I know I'm getting 2 to 3 times the value out of those properties, which are anywhere from $100 to $200 to stay a night. And it allows me to continue to travel hack without spending more money. Now, if you have status and stuff like that, you're not going to get upgrades with those category ones, but you will get upgrades with other categories. So I'm in Florida. I'm in St. Pete. I ended up going golfing with a friend over in Orlando, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a little staycation on the way back, anyways. And so I went to the Grand Hyatt Tampa Bay. They ended up putting me in an $860 room, and it cost me 12,000 points because I had status with them. Essentially, got 6 to 8 cents per point, almost $1,000 room. I wouldn't get that if I didn't have status. I also would never get 6 to 8x of value out of my points with a Hilton or Marriott. I do like Hilton or Marriott if you're a Hilton or Marriott stan. I'm just saying in terms of staying in the U.S., like these are incredible values, and especially if you're not like crazy into luxury in the U.S. Like luxury is really expensive compared to internationally, depending on where you go. But this is where you can get a lot of value out of those chase points, which is why I mention it. And if you guys didn't know about it, now you can utilize. You could stay 30 nights with one sign up bonus at Cat One Properties with Hyatt. So they are
And
very
that
clutch
that
on travel plans.
that one upgrade that you just mentioned, that was amazing, man. Was that your best redemption so far?
In terms of like value, yeah, probably. I stayed a lot of. I'm a. I'm like my dad's like a very. I always try to find deals. Um, And so I'm still not the guy that's going to use my chase points to stay at like a category 8 Hyatt yet. So I always find like the category 3 or 4s where, I'm spending 12, 15,000 points. And I've been upgraded to like $1,000 suites a few times. So in terms of value though, that was really good. They gave me, I have globalist status, so I got free breakfast. And they also gave me a credit for the bar and a restaurant. So they gave me like $30. So like the night I stayed there was pretty much completely free. But yeah, it was pretty solid. Can't complain when you get upgraded. And even if you guys don't have status, you can still be nice to them at the front desk. Hyatt is really good. They don't have as many properties, I will say that. Nowhere near as many properties in terms of hotel brands. They are the smallest. IHG is much bigger. Marriott is much bigger. Hilton is much bigger. So you're not going to find Hyatts all over the place. That is the tough thing about it. But they do really care about their customers, especially if you have status. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a tangent after you asked that.
No, I agree. I'm the same way. Like matter of fact, there's a Hyatt there's a Hyatt house, right?
Hmm.
That's nearby that I frequent, and I kid you not, like me and the family, we just got back from a vacation in Tulum, and it was like this one redemption I did with Hilton that was something
Nice.
like 500, 600,000 points for this really dope suite. It was supposed to be, but that suite was nowhere near as nice as the room at the Hyatt House around the corner.
Hmm.
And it just really
Oh
goes to
shit.
show how, you can't like you would think that the categories would, be an indicator of how nice a place will be. But man,
Hmm.
don't, sometimes you'll be pleasantly surprised. That Hyatt House, which was honestly that room runs me 3,500 points a night. And it was
Yeah.
better than a suite that was running me, 200,000 points a night, Hilton points. So yeah.
I I just know what I'm gonna get with a Hyatt house and Hyatt Place. And they've updated a lot of them too. Like a lot of them come with mini kitchens. Like I know what I'm gonna get. Where with like a Fairfield Inn sometimes, or like some of the lower levels at other places, I don't really know what I'm walking into. But I know exactly what a Hyatt house and a Hyatt Place is gonna give me, and I'm fine with that. Especially there's a new Hyatt property which I had booked last month in Tulum. So if you guys are not familiar with Tulum, Tulum, you do a lot of, there's a lot of beach clubs. The majority of the people will stay, yes, you can stay on the beach, but it's really, really expensive. Um, a lot of people will stay in La Valeta in the main Tulum Center, and that is a few miles from the beach. But there's a new Hyatt property that opened up last year, and it's pretty much an all-inclusive. And then they also have a beach club on the beach as well that you get access to. And they have a charter bus that takes you back and forth, every 30 minutes or so. So that's one to look into. I actually had it booked before they had the Hyatt category changes. So every year Hyatt, either increases or decreases certain hotels. And this one was recently new. They increased it a category, so I booked it before they increased it. I didn't end up going because I had just a lot of stuff going on in here. It's probably bad timing, but I did book it. But that is one to look into because it is pretty much all inclusive, and you get a beach club out of it versus spending $1,000 a night on the beach in Tulum. And you ended up staying. Did you end up staying in a Hyatt, or you said it was a Marriott, Deontay, in Tulum?
Now that I think about it, actually, it was a Hyatt. It was one of their newer properties. What was it called? Dreams. There's a new Dreams resort down there,
Oh, you
and
stayed there.
yeah, and they said they told me they just joined Hyatt like a couple of months ago. But the property is pretty dated, man. And I found myself longing for the familiarity of a Hyatt house or
Hmm.
a Hyatt place. So I agree with you.
Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, and I
Is
just
that where
wanted to
you
touch on this,
is that where
guys.
you were?
I actually didn't end up going because I
Okay.
couldn't travel at the time, but I booked it before that. I don't believe it was a Dreams. I believe I'd have to look, but I'm in presentation mode right now, so I can look when we're in Q&A of the exact property it is.
I
But
wouldn't recommend
sometimes
that
that's a
one.
good way to get a good deal with some of the Hyatts because they're, of course, adding a lot more properties as of recently or acquiring different hotel brands. The first year, they'll typically be lower in points. Um, and sometimes going to a newer property isn't always the best. Yes, it's newer and you think it's going to be nice, but sometimes it takes some time for the customer service and the people working there to really pick up the values of the brand or kind of figure out their way. So I remember looking up the property beforehand and like there's a Facebook group of people that have went to it talking about it, and that was pretty common. If they still need to improve the food or they still need to improve the service, that's what happens with newer properties. You can get better deals initially once they come out, but sometimes it takes a little time to ease into the goals of the property. But yeah, the reason why as well, in terms of the banks with transfer partners, you can get a lot of additional value versus transfer bonuses. So even right now, Chase has just opened up a lot of transfer bonuses, which is funny because Amex literally just had all of these and they just ended. And now all of a sudden Chase has has them too. So British Airways, which is where I book a lot of American Airlines flights as well, or Qatar. Um, and this is just another way you may focus your searches, your redemptions on some of the systems that have transfer bonuses available because you're going to get more value out of them. And so that's what I was just talking about. Like right now, if you want to be able to utilize some of your points, this is how I book a lot of my domestic flights. Now, I will say I do kind of have a structure on how I book domestic flights because you can, right, lose value by booking domestic flights just because they're not as expensive. I usually keep a 2 cents per point. So just look at that as if the cash cost of that flight is $200 one way, you can book it for 10,000 points, then that would be 2 times the value, essentially, minus the taxes and fees. But a majority of the taxes and fees domestically are like $5, so they don't really come into account. But either way, if you just want to have a free flight and you do book for 20,000 points and it makes you happy, like go ahead and book it. Right? Especially if you guys are doing Amazon and ecom, you're spending the money anyways, you're literally making those points back on a 1x card in a month. But either way, if you want to be able to conserve your points and utilize them a little bit more wisely, 2 cents per point, 2 times value. I book Delta flights through Virgin Atlantic, which usually has a lot of transfer bonuses throughout the year. Air France, KLM. I book American Airlines flights. I want to look at them. British Airways and Qatar. The way I actually flew American Airlines flagship, which is their business class, flagship first class product, I did that through Qatar. I ended up booking that for like 36,000 points, and that flight was like $1,500. But some flights may show up on British Airways, and different flights may show up on Qatar. It could change by the system. If you want to book United, Air Canada, and Avianca, they have quite a bit of transfer bonuses as well. Air Canada has the most amount of partners out of all of the systems. You can book a ton of different flights out of Air Canada, so they're a very good system. But as always, when booking stuff, be flexible. With domestic US flights, I'll say this, it's better to look earlier rather than later, like rather than a week before, because US travel is different. A lot of people book flights last second or late, right? We've all been in the situation where we look for flights even 6 months ahead of time. We're like, oh, these are going to get cheaper. I'm going to wait, right? Like everyone does that. We always think it's going to get cheaper. So you're actually going to have a lot less award availability when booking domestic flights if you try to book them later. With international flights, you can book them really early, and sometimes you can get insane deals if you book them really late. Because if for business class, more specifically, you can get great deals economy because there's so many seats on an international flight. But for business class, there's not as many people that are just willing to hand their card over for an $8,000 flight. So if they haven't filled much business class late on an international flight, they might open up 1 or 2 seats of availability. So waiting for the last second, like I'm a single guy, I can get up and go when I want. Like I can wait last second, or I might just go somewhere because availability pops up. Some people don't have that, but last second can be pretty nice. Domestically, if you wait last second, people are always changing flights, getting on new flights, booking them super late. So availability will be less open domestically in the US. So it's better to look at those things a little bit earlier. So yeah, if you want to use your points for domestic stuff, this is a good option as of right now, and it's pretty simple and easy. Just like you have a Delta account number or an account with American Airlines United, it's the same thing. You should have an account with Virgin Atlantic or Air France. They won't really let you search for award flights or with points unless you have that. Some of them actually require some points in the system to check, like Qatar does sometimes. But you can actually connect Qatar and British Airways together as well. So they're kind of interchangeable because they both use the same system. But yeah, I think that pretty much handles everything. If we want to do Q&A, if you guys have questions, I post a lot of stuff on YouTube, just like Lewis has been doing. I'm pretty much all over the place. Like I talk about funding, credit right now, and like travel stuff as well. So I do a little bit of everything. I like talking about it all.
Oh yeah, I definitely have some questions for you.
For sure.
That was me just put that. I'm looking to book a business class flight to Thailand next month. You think that's likely?
So this is what I'll say. Everyone likes to go to Thailand. Thailand doesn't have large international airports. So if you're looking at booking, yeah, Bangkok.
Right.
Yeah, you can fly into Japan or Bangkok or Singapore. If you guys want to be able to check what has direct flights into certain cities, because that is going to help you understand where to do your searches. Like I know I didn't go too deep or how familiar you guys are with like travel hacking and doing the searches, because that it gets pretty complicated on the international side. There's an app called Flight Connections. Flight Connections, you can see or search certain cities, and it'll tell you what airlines fly into those cities directly. from, certain cities that you're looking for. So what city are you out of?
I'm
Or
coming
where
out
do
of
you usually
Minneapolis,
fly out of?
Minnesota. Minneapolis.
Hmm. You're a Minnesota boy? Minnesota
Yes,
man?
sir. Yes, sir.
That's awesome.
I recently just experienced the new Delta Lounge in the MSP,
Right.
which is one
Love
of
it.
the best ones I've been in.
Yeah. Delta lounges, the new ones, I have a hard opinion. I think some of the new Delta lounges are better than the majority of the Centurion lounges.
I think so as well.
So there's some new
So
Centurion lounges that are great, but yeah, I would do. So I already know MSP doesn't have a direct flight into
right.
BKK. I know it's Seattle, which I know Delta is connecting to. Um, you could fly into Manila as well. So use flight connections, and then like I could even just show you guys this right now, actually, how I would go about it.
Well,
That work.
also I just got the 50,000 point bonus from American Airlines, and I see it's a economy flight for 37.5 thousand points, but I'm trying to probably use that on the way back, and I want to use my American Express business points, which I got like 80,000 of those to fly business class out there.
Gotcha.
If that
Yeah,
makes
so this
sense.
is what I would do. Okay, this is flight connections, guys. So you can just Bangkok. So there's literally only one Vancouver, Air Canada. So you could search into Air Canada. Now, what I would do, though, the thing with this is why it gets a little tricky with international stuff, is you're pretty much going to have to do separate bookings if you want to find um, availability. So, like, let's say we wanted to see what flew into Singapore, and you can fly Cathay into Singapore. You can fly Singapore Airlines. Both of those systems only take, I believe, Cathay only takes Amex. So then this is how you would check, because if you guys are going to do award flights and search for award flights, you don't want to do it out of, like, if you're flying out of Minneapolis, you don't want to search, even if you were to go search Air Canada out of Vancouver into Bangkok. Um, you don't want to search Minneapolis to that. You want to search the direct spot,
Mm.
like let's say Seattle, because when it comes down to award availability, I'm trying not to get a little confusing because I know this can be really confusing. If you were to search a city that doesn't have a direct flight, there actually may be award availability on that day. Say you choose, October 6th out of Seattle, but because you searched Minneapolis St. Paul to Singapore, there may not be an actual award from Minneapolis to Seattle. So it's going to say there is no availability
Okay.
because there's one segment that doesn't actually have availability. Um, and I know that's a little confusing, but you also want to search one way. With award searches, you want to do one way because if you were to search round trip, same exact scenario. You could choose October 6th and then coming back October 12th. There might be award availability on October 6th, but because you searched a round trip, there might not be award availability on October 12th. So it's just going to say there is nothing available. But there might be award availability on October 14th on the way back on another one way. So that's why you want to search one ways. It's just because one small little leg of it might not have award or availability, it won't show. And then you just think, oh, there's actually not availability. That's why there's a lot of nuance with it. There's a lot of checking different websites and like understanding who goes where. But this is always going to be the first stop. If you're trying to go to a certain city, Light Connections is fantastic. This is the free version, and it'll show you the direct flights that go into that city. And then so you might end up, deciding to choose your flights or search your flights off of these directs. Does that make sense a little bit?
It does, but my question would be, with American Airlines, does it really like make that big of a difference? And the reason why I ask is because, like, say, if I look for like in points categories, if I look from Chicago to BKK, it's the same amount of points if I look from Minneapolis to BKK to Bangkok. Let me put it simply. So
Yeah, then
that
it's just your preference. If it's the
okay,
same amount of points, yeah, it's just kind of your preference where you want to fly out of.
okay. But I also want to do like some aspirational travel, like travel business class on one of the like Qatars or Emirates or something like that. So that's where flight connections would probably be more of a aid, would you say?
Hmm. And you can choose like the airline as well
Okay.
on flight
Thanks.
connections
Okay.
for sure.
Is that it, bro?
For me,
Charles?
no, I was just giving
Well,
somebody else
that's all I
another
got.
chance. Somebody
Anyone
else
else
to
got questions?
yeah, I was giving somebody else a chance to ask questions.
All right. Does anyone have a question? If not, Charles can just keep going. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Sure. Well, this I have more of a critic question, if that's fine.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've been data mining with Chase for some time. I have two Chase cards. I have the Freedom and I have the Marriott, and I've been trying to get in on the
Mhm.
business card for some time now. But my utilization is high on the personal side, but my credit score, as far as experience, well, my utilization is 26%. And my credit score, as far as experience, is like is 750, and I'm just coming up on my 90 days as far as putting like 5-6 thousand in the account, just letting it sit. Um, but on but on my business credit card, those utilizations are like above 90%. Would you have any suggestions for that?
The business cards you're talking are do you already have Chase business cards or you haven't gotten
No,
them yet?
nope. I got American Express. I got the what's that?
Yeah.
I hate saying the
Blue
Blue
Business
Business
Plus,
Cash.
Blue Business
No,
Cash.
yeah, I hate saying the BBC, but and I also got the Plum as well. And what
Yeah.
else do I have on the business side? Yep, nope. No, those are the only, I believe, two that I have on the business side. I may be forgetting one, but yeah, but everything I have is like 80-90% or better.
Yeah. So in terms of personal utilization, I don't know if you were you in at the beginning of the call when I was talking about kind of the personal credit side of things. You jump in a little bit later.
I was, but I was still setting
Okay.
up, so I couldn't hear everything.
Yeah, so I guess one thing you can do is try to see if you can increase your current limits, and that'll lower your utilization. So Chase, you can do a soft pull credit limit increase. You can call in and ask if they can increase your limit that you'd like a little bit additional more spending. Then just confirm with them, hey, I just want to confirm that that's a soft pull because there'll be no effect to your credit. So that'll increase your credit limits on the personal side. You can do the same exact thing with American Express if you have personal cards on the MX side. After 91 days of having the card, they'll give you a 3x credit limit increase. So let's say you had 5K, you've had the card for 91 days, you've used it, you can ask them, do the same thing with the softball, they can increase it up to 15. That will
Uh,
improve your credit limits on the personal side outside of just applying to new personal cards, if you're looking at that.
okay, so if it's not, because I look in the app probably like once every 2 weeks on the Chase side to see if I'm available for a credit limit increase, would you say I have a better chance if I call in and ask?
Yeah, so they're not going to like, sometimes they'll increase your credit limit like naturally, um, but it's rare, right? So you kind of want to go out of your way to ask for credit limit increases.
No, what I mean by that is, they have a little thing on there to where it say request a credit limit increase on the app, and I always hit that and be like, you're not eligible for a credit limit increase right now.
I would call in.
Okay.
I would call in
Yeah. And I got American Express.
because
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's all bank dependent. Like sometimes it's actually better with Chase and American Express to call in and ask because you can confirm that it's a soft pull. Sometimes they will actually hard pull you if you try to do it in app or on the desktop.
Okay.
With Citi and Capital One, it's actually better to try to ask for a credit limit increase through their apps or through the desktop rather than calling in. Well, to be soft pulls through the app and the desktop, but calling in, they'll do a hard pull. So it's all kind of bank dependent. I just wanted to say that it's like a good little data point for people to know as well.
Well, yeah, I've never had a increase with American Express or Chase, and I've had those cards for 4 and 5 years. But with Navy Federal, I think I started out like 8 or 10,000, and now I'm at like 37,000. So I don't know what it is about Navy to where they'll keep increasing it, but American Express nor Chase will.
Like Navy naturally increase it.
No, I call in. I definitely call in every
Oh,
it used to be every 90 days, but now it's like every 6 months. And they just increased I asked for the max, which is like I think 8,000, and they always gave me the max.
yeah. I mean, sometimes too, it's about using the card. So this is what I say about the business side too. If you're going to go get business credit, like what you're just talking about, if you want to be prepared to get business credit from Chase,
Right.
direct from my relationship manager, utilize the card for 60, 90 days before, utilize it more, have more deposits coming into your business bank account too for 60, 90 days. Show them that you're actually utilizing their platform, that you're actually utilizing their card. That's very similar with credit limit increases too, is like showing you're actually using it and they're right. The system understands that. So those things are important of just small little data points. Right now, because of the economy, they would rather have deposits, consistent deposits coming in too. So if you don't have, let's say, the Amazon deposits coming into your account or into certain accounts, you might want to set up a $50 deposit every week or 2 weeks, 90 days, 120 days before you plan on going to access business credit from certain banks.
Oh wow.
Just to have a consistent flow going in, right? It used to be if you just dropped in 5 to 10 grand, great. They see that it helps. That doesn't hurt by any means. But right now it's more of like volume based. I'd rather have like consistent volume coming in.
Okay, well, if it's my business account, where would it be best? Like if I just deposit it from my personal account, would that still have the same data point?
Yeah, I mean, of course, having it deposited from merchants is helpful. Like if you have a merchant processor where you take payments from clients and stuff like that, that that's better. But any type of consistent deposit is still going to be better than non-consistent deposits.
Okay. So one more. Since I'm coming up on my 90 days of just letting it sit, do you recommend I just go for it, and if I don't get it, just wipe it, or don't even waste my time?
Chase.
Yeah.
So what you can do is Chase allows you to apply to their business cards as a sole prop and an LLC. I don't know if you're trying to apply as an LLC, but what you can do to test the waters is you can apply as a sole prop because they'll let you get the cards because they're two separate entities.
Mm.
So if you want to see kind of what limit you could possibly get, you can apply as a sole prop, and they might give you 10 to 15K on that.
If I apply as a
They might
sole
give you
prop,
more.
would that affect my personal credit?
No, still a business,
Perfect.
still
Oh,
separate. It'll have a an inquiry on Experian, but you can still take that inquiry off.
nice. That was worth the price of entry, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's a good like testing waters. Like sometimes um, you might want to test the waters as a sole prop with American Express or Chase. I say that that's a good option because a lot of people don't have enough personal credit initially and they want 30K on a credit card. You might not want to waste an inquiry and one of the cards for an LLC. So you might want to test the waters to see what the bank might give you as a sole prop because both of them typically allow you to get those cards as sole props and LLCs.
Okay. Well, on the personal side, as far as credit go, I got like a little bit over 150,000.
Good. Yeah, I was just going to ask. You said 37K on the Navy Fed, and you said you're. I mean, are you doing even some Amazon spending on the personal cards right now?
Yeah, I did a little bit Amazon spending, but once I got my Plum card in order, that's the one I'm primary using right now. I plan to because I got the Platinum business card as well, and I plan to
Hmm.
utilize that a lot more. But I want to get my deposits more on a consistent basis.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. Because yeah, I was curious about the 26% utilization, even with 150K. So I figured you're doing some spending, and right now you're probably trying to transition that spend over to the business cards. Sounds like.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
And I mean, it's fine. Like what I said, when it comes to strategy cycling, like if your strategy, you want to get status with a certain personal card, or you want to earn points with a certain personal card, you can put spend on the personal side and do that, right? Because it hits your strategy. But I would always take into account the amount of limits that you have just to make sure that it doesn't affect that utilization. Because that personal side, um, if that gets like screwed with high utilization, it's really tough.
Okay. And City, they do a soft pool credit increase, right?
In app,
And that.
yeah,
Thanks a lot, man.
for sure. Yeah, if you apply, let me know. I'm always down for some referral points if I shoot you a referral. That business preferred card too, guys. I've done this for a couple friends. If Even if they're not business owners or into side hustles, because you can apply to the sole prop, that business preferred card usually is a 100,000 point sign up bonus. If someone has like a big expense at their home, like a roof, or they're doing renovations and they're gonna pay off contractors or pay off what they're gonna spend on that anyways, great way to add 100,000 sign up bonus and just applies the sole prop, even if they're not a business owner, because it's a big sign up bonus. They're going to pay it off anyways. Might as well get a card, get a big sign up bonus.
Isn't that frowned upon though? Like, say if you got to spend $5,000 to hit the bonus, and you do that all in one spin.
What, just one purchase, like 5,000?
Like, say if you're getting a roof repaired or something, and the bonus is $5,000, and they're charging you 6,000, and you pay that
Why
all
would,
with your card.
well, if you're going to pay it anyways with a check or a cat, I mean, I look at it as I can just hit a sign up bonus, $100,000 sign up bonus. I can get $1,000 worth of travel, or like the way I travel hack, $5,000 worth of travel, and I'm gonna pay it off anyway. So get the card, get a sign up bonus, pay it off. Now I got a sign up bonus off of spend,
Okay.
essentially.
No, that's new because I was always told not to hit the bonus within the first month.
Really?
Yeah, because
Who
banks.
said that?
I got it from out of Rag Group, as well as Credit Gym said that as well.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm in both of them. I've never really heard. I mean, think about it this way: American Express. When you apply to American Express card, they give you your your credit card number right away.
All right.
And I know people that'll rip, marketers that will open up a credit card and rip a 20K spend on it, for a mentorship or a coaching program because
Mm.
they don't even have the card yet. So um, I wouldn't just do just one purchase on it. Like you could do that big purchase and then put more purchases on it, so it doesn't just seem like a one-time thing. That can be helpful. But yeah, I've never heard of any problems from that.
Interesting to know. Well, your miles may vary, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, banks can change all the time too.
For sure.
Funding data points and business credit data points are changing all the time.
Okay. And something that somebody else said earlier in the what's name, is it just me? But they told me that because I have the Delta Platinum card, they told me that won't get me in the lounge no more. So I had to show my American Express business card, Platinum business card, to get in the Delta Lounge.
You have to be flying Delta.
Right, flying Delta, but they say even if you're
Mhm.
flying Delta and you got the Delta Platinum card, they say that's not enough to get you in. You got to be flying Delta with the American Express Business Card Platinum.
Not that I know of. I don't get why the Delta Platinum hasn't. No, Delta Platinum is the second card. It's not the reserve. Reserve's purple.
Right, the Reserve Purple.
Yeah, the reserve will get you in. I don't think the Delta Platinum will,
Yeah, that's what they told me. So I was just making sure
unless you
that.
hit a certain amount of spend. Yeah, the Amex Business Platinum and the Amex Personal Platinum will,
Sounds good. Thanks.
for sure. And then
Any other questions, you guys?
Deontay, the place I was talking about in Tulum was Secrets Tulum Resort and Beach Club, which is a new one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard good things about Secrets actually. So um, if you do end up going that shit, hopefully your experience will be better than mine was at Dreams.
Yeah, it seems nice. It seems clean, but I've heard mixed reviews. It's a little bit smaller, but having a beach club in Tulum is nice. That's for sure. You don't have to pay the 35 or $50 buy-in every single time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and Charles, man, hey, me and a couple of the fellas, we're actually looking to do a Thailand trip or somewhere in Southeast Asia, and sometime around either spring or summer. So, if you're going to be traveling around that same time, and you want some travel buddies, bro, we'll definitely link you in.
Oh yeah, believe me, you with the help of this mentorship, I plan to be traveling a lot, so I just needed an excuse to go. Like I'm gonna leave a
Yeah,
T-shirt, so just keep me informed.
for sure, for sure.
Love it. Any other questions, you guys? Are we good?
Zach, any experience with Capital One?
Um, like my take on it, I personally don't have a Capital One. The Capital One Business Venture X, if you guys spend a lot and you already have good personal credit, they do have a crazy sign-up bonus every once in a while. Like they literally just had one for 300,000 points, but I believe it was 20,000 in spend in like 3 months. They pull all three bureaus. A lot of people that go to Capital One, they get low limits and they can never increase their limits. It's really weird.
That happened to me.
90% of people have low limits, and then there's like a random 10% of people that are like, Capital One always raises my limits. I got like a 36K credit limit. And I'm like, what? Like you're one of 26 people that has a big credit limit, and then everyone else has 2 or 3K. Um, yeah, I've heard a couple horror stories too with Capital One. But from my understanding too, if you have a Venture X, you can. You were talking about AUs with one of the American Airlines cards. I believe it is true that if you have a Venture X or a Business Venture X, which gives you and gets you into Capital One lounges, which are pretty great. So if anyone's in Dallas or travels through Dallas quite a bit, I travel through Dallas quite a bit. So at some point I will be getting the Venture X, and Capital One lounges are freaking sick because you can take the food and stuff with you, which is cool. I heard that if you add someone as an AU, they also get access to the lounge. So if you know anyone that has a Venture X, you could possibly be added as an AU and get access to the lounge. Well,
Yeah, that sounds pretty great. Yeah, I'm
you
looking
got
into it.
any takes on Capital One?
Um, I am eyeing the Venture X as well. I don't have a foot in the door there yet, but I kind of just want to diversify between all the 4 or 5 major ecosystems. And
Sure.
so there, P2 has a pre-qual offer available. So I'm just going waiting for the right time to hit that up, and we'll see what happens. And the other good thing
Mm-hmm.
about the Venture X is their travel eraser feature is pretty great. You can get good value out of that where any travel that you do that you charge on a card, hotels, flights, whatever, I believe is that you can use points at a is it a 2 cent per point value to to you know write off that expense. So where a lot of people are looking to get 1.5 cent per point as their base level redemption, you can get 2 cents per
Hmm.
point with the Venture X for anything travel related.
Yo, I got the opposite. Correct. I got children.
I couldn't
Trying to
make
say
that
something,
out,
Neil?
Bill. Could you repeat that?
Maybe he wasn't talking to us.
Things in
So
background noise.
you're saying, what are you saying? Anything you can purchase in the travel portal is they give you redemptions
No,
at 2x?
it's not
Or what do
even
you
a
mean
travel
travel
portal.
eraser?
That's the marketing name they call it, but it's basically the ability of
Oh,
the card to write off or to pay for with points a charge on a card at a value of 2 cents per point or 2x.
oh, okay. Gotcha.
So it'll
Huh.
your baseline redemption with that if it's travel will be 2x or
Yeah.
2 cent per point.
Yeah, that's pretty solid compared to like Chase, 1.5 time or 1.25.
Yeah, and then even Chase is only if you use the Chase portal, right? That's where you
Hmm.
can redeem at 1.5 with the uh um what's that card that does the 1.5? The reserve, I believe it is, the Sapphire
Reserve,
Reserve,
yeah.
or 1.25 with the preferred. But this the travel eraser is for anything. So it's a really good travel card to take with you when you're out and about. If you're, just doing whatever, buying food or buying drinks at the hotel bar or just whatever that might
Hmm.
not be in the Capital One travel portal, you can have a pretty good redemption rate there with that travel eraser feature. So it's a good keeper card, or so that's what people are saying about it, and that's what has my interest on it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, with how the Platinum keeps raising the fees, or Amex in general keeps raising the fees, like the Venture X, even if you're in a location where there is a Capital One lounge, even outside of some of the other benefits, like $400 for that is killer. Because I think those lounges are great, and it's 2x on everything, pretty much.
Look, man, I agree. The Amex fees they are getting out of hand with it in there. The coupon book is getting quite bothersome. But that being said, man, out
I
they've
mean,
got
I
quite a
love
bit
the
more
lounge
room
too
to
much to
go.
let go of it.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
keeping
I
my
second
Amex,
that.
man.
I mean, I completely agree. But like, if you're in those areas where Capital One just starts bumping, like even if you guys have the Chase Reserve, if you guys don't know if you have the Chase Preferred, when I actually took that JetBlue flight into Boston, and I flew back to Florida from Boston, the Chase Preferred has a little secret benefit where you actually get one pass per year to one of the Chase lounges. And the Boston Chase Lounge is pretty sick. And Chase is now adding, trying to add additional lounges. The Reserve as well, you get access, full time access to the Chase lounges. So there's like certain cards that might hit your strategy. And there's people, if they get annoyed at the Platinum or they don't really travel that much, but you're in Dallas, they might drop the Amex Platinum to just hold the Venture X, you know? So it's always fun
Yeah, I'm
stuff.
looking forward to visiting a Chase Lounge. I haven't come across one yet, and also, of course, I hear great things about the Capital One lounges too. So definitely on the to-do list for both of those.
For sure. For
Does the
sure.
Ink
Yeah, Chase
Unlimited
Lounge was great.
does the Ink Unlimited get you in the Chase Lounge?
No, only the Reserve gets you in, and then you get one pass per year with the Preferred.
Mm, that sucks.
Yeah, I ended up being in Boston, so I got to check that out. I don't know where they're adding more lounges, but as we know, whenever there's a new update to like a new lounge being built, it takes like 5 years. So
Do you think you'll ever come to a point where you have enough points in the points bank, right? And you don't want to acquire too many because of the risk of deval, So at that point, maybe you will look to cash out the points to get more value from, just having straight cash, which is more flexible, which you can invest, which can actually appreciate, as opposed to sitting on 1 million, 2 million points that are probably only going to devalue, quickly.
I mean, I'm not turning points that fast. I don't know if I'll get to that point. Like if I was ripping like Amazon like 100 a month, I'd be using those points to be fun, like business class all over. Like I would be the guy that has like, I'm a single guy. I have enough freedom where I'd make sure that, my ecom business is churning, can basically run boots on the ground without me. And I can travel and I just source and do that stuff. But I would probably be traveling all around and utilizing it. But I could see that. Like I have friends that essentially have like buying groups where they will redeem, 1.5 million points on the year, and then they'll just
Hmm.
put a ton of spend, all throughout the year and get back, 1 to 2 million points. So like if they were to keep stacking, right, they could probably do that where they would cash out instead of travel so
Well,
much.
I have a question to pair with that then. With your points, you could book like say your friend a flight, couldn't you?
Yeah.
So you can essentially like sell a flight for cheaper than they would sell it and pocket more than the 1 cent to 1 point ratio in theory, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's like what Gems has done with, the hotels and stuff out in
That's where I got it from.
Vegas, essentially, just kind of brokers it,
Okay.
right? Like one of my friends who does do that, who basically has his own buying group, essentially an electronics buying group. He buys all his family. His family's like from Asia, so he buys all his family like business class flights to go back there every year. He buys like
Yeah. Yeah, I
six
think I know
flights
who
and
you're
then
talking about.
for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hui.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Could you guys tell me a little bit about Gems? I'm not familiar with the group or setup.
I refer to
yeah,
him as
Credit
a young
Gems.
sniper.
Yeah,
Say
yeah,
that
he
again.
is one of the guys from Radicals group as well. Um, just kind of the same scenario that I do. He does business credit, travel, a little bit of everything. But he's just like goes out and in. I never know
Yeah.
what he's doing.
So
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
the what
Um,
value does it give you
oh,
or
that's
he?
just his name. That's just his name. He's just like another resource in the credit space. Another
Okay.
place where, right, like we all explain these things a little bit differently. Like, you know, Lewis isn't the only Amazon guy, but there's other Amazon people that will explain Amazon a little bit differently.
Mhm.
I'm not the only um, credit travel guy. Gems also does it, explains it differently. Right? We all kind of have just another resource in the space, another knowledge bank. He's just another one of the guys that's been like really helpful for a lot of people, especially from Radicals community.
Yeah.
I feel you. And Lewis isn't the only Amazon guy, but he's my Amazon guy. Okay.
Say that. Say that. That's what's up.
Exactly,
Yeah, man. Hey, Zach, this has been great, man. It's been a pleasure to chat with you.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
man.
thanks for hopping on, guys. It's always fun. Like I like the back and forth rather than just a straight up prezi. I like the
And,
interaction. So I
and
appreciate you guys
follow him
hopping
too,
in.
by the way. Oh, sorry. Yeah, follow Zach on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah,
got
I
any
already
questions?
did
Reach
both.
out to me. I do a little bit different stuff on YouTube. I'm playing around with just like topics, recording stuff all over the place. So I think I'm a little bit different. And if you
Yep.
guys apply to some cards, let me know. I want some additional points too.
Yeah, follow him on IG, YouTube, and before we go, can we give him like a thank you in the chat, some reaction, some virtual emoji?
GG's. Thanks for
Every
having me
time you say
on,
that, Lewis,
Lewis.
man, you send me scouring, trying to searching this Zoom app where to do the reactions at, man.
Or you
Okay,
can
I think
also
I see
admit
you.
yourself and thank him personally.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely, man. Will you ever do like a meetup or something, Lewis? Will you bring your some of your top speakers back, or something like that, where we can all like meet and break
hmm.
bread?
You mean like in person? You mean?
Yeah, what you got going on? I wasn't aware.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about it for sure for next year.
Didn't you have one, Lewis, a couple months ago
Yeah, like
in
we have like
Vegas?
live events here in Vegas. But we can have like yeah. I'll let you guys know for sure. But me and my wife are planning to have like a live event for all of
Mhm.
us in the future. So, and it's gonna be here in Vegas too. So,
All right, I'll be there,
yeah.
and I definitely look forward to meeting you, Zach. You as well, Charles.
Absolutely, man. I
There you
just
go.
need an excuse to go out to Vegas too.
Yeah,
And
we'll
not
make it
gamble.
happen. We'll make it happen.
Right.
Alrighty,
I'll
guys.
be going out there just to do the
Status matches.
Caesars status match, yeah, and to start from that on to the other casino. So that's what I'll be hitting up.
Do they still got the Caesar status match? I thought they had cut out the status match between MGM and Caesar.
Yeah, I went through
Yeah,
the
it's not
Wyndham
going right
Business
now.
Earners card to get it.
Yeah, you can do that.
I want to say that again. I couldn't hear you.
The Barclays Wyndham Business Earners card, if you get
Okay.
that, you get automatic Caesars Diamond status.
Nice. Sweet. Thanks, man.
No problem.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks, bro.
Yes, thank you.
See you, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys
Thanks for
for
showing
like
up, y'all.
coming in too. Yeah, thanks for being can you guys hear me?
Interactive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Thanks, Dion, Charles, and everyone in the chat chiming in. Appreciate you guys. And thanks, Zach, for being here, bro. And yeah, I'll see you
Appreciate
guys
it.
future, okay? Soon. I'll see you guys soon.
All
Oh,
right,
hold
y'all. Take
on. I
care.
think there's a question in the chat real quick. Sorry if I just asked before, but is Amex Purple card good?
Plum. Yeah. 60 days instead of 30 days. I think most of you guys, Chris was saying he was using that.
It's great for this mentorship. It's great for like Amex because you
Sure.
get time for that money to cycle back to you before you have to pay it all.
It's like a 60-day statement instead of 30. And then if you pay it off earlier, you get additional like 1.5%. So in terms of like earning, there's not really great earning, but it gives you that extra wiggle room of an additional month.
Yeah, I agree. Alrighty, guys. I'll see
All
you guys next
right.
week, okay?
Have a great now.
Thank you guys.
All right,
All right, guys.
ciao.
Bye-bye.